Hello guys! 3 more decks, you know the drill, theme Chronicle, starting off here with Megalith. Megalith is one of my favorite decks of all time. I really wish that it was better than it currently is, but it is also extremely cheap. As you can see, there's basically no URs, and honestly, the extra deck can just be... Pretty much the only thing that's important in here is Herald of Arclight and maybe Dynamondo, so it's relatively cheap. You can also play it cheaper as well. This happens to be one of the cards that you can get from the Legacy Pack, so you might already have it. Ben 10 is not necessary, but it's nice, and then you can also play it with more of the incantations instead of Chalice Slime, and that's pretty much it. As for the rest of this, it's pretty simple. If you don't know what Megalith does, they use their ritual monsters as ritual spells, so you just cycle the ritual monsters that also don't have hard once per turns on their searches in order to just generate advantage, and that's pretty much it. And then you go into full, which can summon it during the opponent's turn a Bethor, and Bethor can pop a whole bunch of cards. That's pretty much your only real options, at least in this event, but it is still fairly strong, just being able to nuke the opponent's field, so it's not terrible, but it's not exceptional as well. So yeah, that's pretty much the idea. Let's hop into the replay and show you how this deck performs. Alright, so here we are going first, and let's see what we can do here. We're going to start off with the Bethor here. We're going to tribute Bethor in order to summon out the Ophiel, in order to search out a monster. And that's going to be met by Valor. However, Unformed is a very cool card. What Unformed says is you can ritual summon from the deck by tributing twice the levels required in order to tribute summon, or to ritual summon the monster, not tribute summon, sorry. So we're going to summon out the Full, which happens to be a level 2, and it will allow us to still search out with the Haggith. So we're going to search out Haggith here, and then we're going to add back off of the Full's effect in order to modulate its level to 8 with the Bethor. So Bethor comes back to hand. We're also then going to tribute that to summon the Ophiel once again from deck, so that we can search again, since it's not a hard once per turn on the search, and then the ritual is also going to be used to summon Haggith from hand. We also search up the Haggith as well, and we're going to grab Portal here, and then go for the Haggith as well, to grab up Portal again, or to grab up with Portal an additional monster, which happens to be the Bethor, and then use the Haggith to search out in Emergence. I don't know if Emergence is actually the correct choice here. I think it's actually just searching out the other ritual spell, so that we have more access to the ability to go into Bethor, but it's also really nice to be able to use Emergence and just like start recycling those resources as best as possible, because without Emergence you don't really have a way to consistently get more of your Haggith and Ophiel into rotation. So it's a bit greedy from me, but yeah, realistically I should have just gone for the quick play spell. Anyway, my opponent's going to reveal that they are on Dragon Maids, and I'm just going to immediately pop 2 Dragon Maids, because I'm scared that they're going to, like, go into Seal here. So, yeah. And seeing as how they summoned just Chamber and didn't really do anything else with that, and their search happened to be Hospitality, I'm more concerned about them just, like, making Seal and, like, doing Bestial shenanigans than I am about, like, any of the other Dragon Maid stuff. So yeah, we're just gonna pop here. Also, if they don't have like a smaller dragon, or just like 2 dragons in hand, like Shio's not really gonna do anything. And even if they do have Shio and it's just Shio, like that's not really that big of a deal. So good game. Alright, so here we are with our second deck, which is Ragnara. Just Ragnara. No plant link shenanigans going on here. It's just I really like the Ragnarok cards, and I think they're fantastic, so we're going to play this. Yeah, if you don't know what Ragnarok does, it's pretty simple, but basically you utilize your Ragnarok cards in order to search and summon out these guys, and then all of the Link monsters have the same effect where they can, if they're in the grave, they can target an insect, plant, or reptile, place it onto the bottom of the deck, and then special summon this card from grave. It's very, very cool, and it just allows you to kind of like use like the random bodies in order to go into the bigger guys that you may have linked off for other Link monsters, which is pretty interesting. So yeah, that's pretty much the general idea. All of these have like various different effects. Skeleton can revive, Mantis can search out the trap, Selene can pop a spell trap, or can pop spell traps. Chain Coils can turn off the hand effects of the opponent, or just of monsters in hand. Keep that in mind as well. If you make this, you can't use your hand traps, so maybe don't make this if you have a bunch of hand traps. I never did that. And then we also have Stag, which can pop cards if your opponent special summons from extra. So, from deck or extra. So there's that. And then it's mostly just like hand traps and kind of non-engine to prevent the opponent from actually doing anything, or like that's most of where the interactions come from. These aren't like exceptional, they're just okay, right? That being said, we do have one card that's actually pretty good, which is Hunting Dance, which just pops cards dependent on the number of different link monster types between insect, plant, and reptile. And generally what I end on is the skeleton and mantis, which are insect and plant, and then you just pop 2, which is pretty nice. And then it also has a secondary effect while it's in the grave, which is also, again, pretty nice. The rest of the cards, Evil searches out 2 cards and then banishes a card. And then we also have Samurai Beetle, which can put back a banished monster in order to special summon itself, and special summons when it's used as link material, or special summons another guy when it's used as link material. We have the Armored Lizard, which can special summon it by banishing one, and that's pretty much it. And then we have the Wicked Butterfly, which can discard to special summon a insect, reptile, or plant, and then it also can be, or when it's banished during the end phase, it can draw cards dependent on the number of different types of plant link, or plant, insect, and reptile link monsters you control. So there you go. And then we're also playing Lone Fire just to get into Ragnara Evil Seed, which is our best card. And we also are playing 3 Bloom as well, because this card just searches out a Ragnara, as well as special summons a Ragnara, which is, well, not as well, but does either or, which is pretty nice. We're also playing 1 Rose Girl to summon off of a Lone Fire Blossom as well, because it can add itself back to the hand, which is very nice if you control a plant, and it just has a way to like special summon itself from hand as well if you control a plant, so it's just fairly good, right? If you draw this and like a Lone Fire, it's not bad, because you could just special summon 2 guys, and then bada bing, bada boom, you have like 2 guys just freely on field, so it's pretty nice. But that's pretty much it. Let's hop to the replays and show you how this deck performed. Alright, so here we are going second, and honestly, a pretty decent hand. We drew 2 hand traps, a Forbidden Droplet, Lone Fire, and Bloom, so I'm feeling pretty good. My opponent is on this deck, which is something, and we draw Ghost Ogre for a turn, which is kind of funny. We're going to go for the Lone Fire Blossom here, and we're going to summon out the Ragnara. Ragnara will not be met by anything, which is kind of interesting. Sorry, the Evil Seed, which is kind of funny. Not going to be met by anything. So we're going to get a free banish here for the Wicked Butterfly. And now we're going to special summon out the Samurai Beetle, to the which they will bounce with Tidying, which is hilarious, because it doesn't matter. I drew the Bloom, and I could just special summon him back out. So we're going to do that, and then go into the Skeleton Soldier. Here we're going to then special summon the Lone Fire, and Lone Fire is going to special summon the Rose Girl, and then we're going to special summon back the Ragnara Seed, which will then allow us to banish 2 off of the Mantis in order to grab up the trap, and then Rose Girl is going to add itself back because we control a plant. We're going to shuffle that, or put that back into the bottom of the deck to summon out the Skeleton, attack for 2, and then set a whole bunch of cards and pass the turn. We draw 2 Ash Blossoms, which is actually very funny. And then my opponent is going to reveal the worst card that it probably could have been, Harpies. I cannot stand board wipes. I think that they're just bad card design. Anyway, my opponent is going to attempt to destroy here. I'm like, oh, that should be fine. This card has like a graveyard effect. Except, for some reason, the Ragnaraka cards were printed to be exceedingly fair. Because this says, if a face of plant, insect, or reptile monster you control is destroyed by battle or card effect while this card is in your graveyard, comma, except the turn it was sent there, you can banish it and target a monster your opponent controls and destroy it. I could not explain to you why it stipulates except the turn it was sent there, but alas, it does. So there's that. I should have maybe Veilered this guy. I don't think it really would have mattered. I actually Ash at the kitchen, which I think honestly, it didn't really matter. I had the other Ash, so there's that. They're gonna go for Shio here, and honestly, if I do not draw well here, I do just die. So there's that. I draw okay. It's not exceptional, but maybe it does something here. I'm going to Ash this, which they allow to be Ashed. I'm like, oh, okay. But then I go for the Wicked Butterfly effect here, which will be promptly met by their Shio, and I'm like, oh my gosh, they did the thing! So now we get to go and summon R2, which then summons back the Wicked Butterfly, which then can be shuffled back with our other Link monster, and bada bing, bada boom, out comes Stag Sovereign. Whoo, baby, that was close! So we can just walk over this guy, and at this point we are well and truly in control of this game. Hopefully. Well, we have at least a Veiler in hand, but yeah, this kind of becomes a problem. If they have pretty much anything, we're just kind of cooked. More specifically, if they have a way to fuse here, we're just kind of cooked. But alas, they pitched the Lorpar, and then they link into Pisty, and at this point, they concede, realizing that the game is over because they don't have a way to fusion with their fusion spell. So, whew, that was close. Harpy's Feather Duster is a hell of a card. And I've always got to include some sort of war crime deck, which happens to be this one. Now, if you don't know what this deck does, let me explain it to you. We commit war crimes. That's it. If you don't know, the Karibos kind of facilitate this weird kind stall deck where you're just kind of slowly accumulating resources. And actually, more specifically, you're just kind of like throwing cards at your opponent, hoping and praying that you don't immediately die. That's the general idea. And then hoping and praying that things like Magic Cylinder, Dimension Wall, and Blazing Mirror Force eventually kill them. Or sometimes you just resolve Scapegoat and then you make Crusadia Avramax, and that's pretty much it. Those are your two options. Anyway, let's see how this deck works. Alright, here we are going second, which honestly we kind of prefer just because drawing an additional card is pretty nice here. My opponent is going to reveal that they're on insects, I guess. Ragnara insect stuff. I've seen a bunch of different Ragnara decks. I think just pure with a bunch of staples is probably best, but, well, I guess technically speaking, Plant Link is the best Ragnaraka deck, but, like, those Ragnaraka cards don't count. Anyway, my opponent's going to do a whole bunch of stuff, but it doesn't really matter, and you'll see why in a second. They're going to go Ballist. They're going to go Stag Sovereign. Cool cards. Very cool cards. And then they're just going to, like, pass the turn and draw a card, because these both happen to be insects. Anyway, that's really fun and all. I'm just going to set Drowning Mirror Force and watch them run into it because, I mean, we all know what's going to happen. We all know exactly what's going to happen. Yeah, of course that happened. I told you, we're just committing war crimes. That's all that we're doing. Anyway, we draw my favorite card in this deck, Scapegoat. If you don't know what this card does, don't worry. You'll see. They pass the turn. They don't have anything. What, you think they have anything? No, they don't have anything. Anyway, I'm going to flip up the Scapegoat and then activate its effect, and we're going to summon 1, 2, 3, 4 tokens. And guess what we're going to do with that? That's right, baby. Link Spider into... Is that Avramax? Whoa! I normal summon the bot because it's funny. And also because this guy technically boosts the attack, so, like, theoretically speaking, he could do something. Anyway, I just link into Link Karibo here and then pass the turn. He's just a cute little guy. Anyway, out comes the Armor Horn. They're going to then grab up a Bear Grum. Bear Grum is going to special summon itself, and then they're going to also trigger the Goki Pole to add the Black Sea Squatter, which will special summon, and then attempt to destroy the Crusadia Avramax, which was summoned with IP Masquerena. And then, once again, they're going to try to nuke the field. And anyway, out comes Mantis Monk. They're going to then banish 3 in order to special summon again, and then link off into another Stag Sovereign. Actually, technically, it's probably the same one, but you get the point. Anyway, they don't have an out to Avramax. Cool. There's other stuff this deck does, but honestly, this is pretty much what the duels boil down to. Hoping and praying that you resolve a Scapegoat or something of that nature. Like a, what was it, Drowning in this case. Anyway, out comes the Bear Grum again, and I'm like, oh, please don't nuke my field, I'll be sad. Anyway, they go to combat, and I just go, cool, here's Magic Cylinder. They just run into it, so, good game. That was not a set match. They knew about that Magic Cylinder. They actively chose to run into it, so cool. They also attacked Avramax, so yeah, they were just like dead 3 ways to Sunday. So fun, Avramax. And yeah, that's pretty much it. That's all that I have for you today. I will say the Karibo deck is way funnier because most of the time what you're actually ending up doing is just like holding your opponent hostage. So if you really enjoy torturing your opponents, this is a great deck to play. Why am I playing 46? Because it's funny. That's pretty much it. All of these are just funny. That's all that I have to say about this. Also, you don't need Curry Babylon. Like, yeah, it's nice, but like, yeah, you don't need it. Anyway, beside the point, I thoroughly enjoy all 3 of these decks. Ragnaraka is such a fun and interesting gimmick. It's very similar in nature to like Tri Brigade, and it has that same esteem. If only it was like better. But yeah, Ragnarok is extremely fun. I really enjoy this war criminal deck. I play it from time to time, and it's always fun every time. Even like losing is just super enjoyable, mostly due to the fact that like you just sit there for like 7 turns just not dying as your opponent slowly tries to whittle away at you, which is funny at the very least. And then of course the Megalith. It's one of my favorite ritual decks, if not my actual favorite ritual deck of all time. It's just extremely fun, a really cool gimmick that it utilizes, and being able to blow up the opponent's field with Bethor is very, very fun. So I hope you enjoyed these decks. If you did, a like is very much appreciated. And if you want to check out more content like this as well as more Yu-Gi-Oh, then just be sure to subscribe. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and remember to always stay frosty. Bye-bye. Shout out to the Frost Guard, my members. Thank you guys so much for the support, and I hope you enjoy the content.